Good morning and welcome to the Chamber Business Report. I'm John Phillips. I'm joined by my co-host, Kelsey Lombard. Kelsey, good morning.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
We are here today with Dan Rochford. He is with Adecco, and we're going to learn more about Dan and about Adecco and what they do. But first, I want to remind you that the Chamber Business Report is sponsored by Klein Construction, building the future of Flagler County for the past 30 years. By Smart Technologies, they make business simple. By Intracoastal Bank of Palm Coast, community banking the way it should be, member FDIC, and also by Katz & Green, Flagler County's personal injury attorneys since 1996. Again, our guest is Dan Rochford with Adecco. They are a staffing agency. We're going to learn a lot more about them here in a few minutes, but first, let's learn a little bit more about Dan. Dan is a chamber ambassador and been with us for several months in that role. But I know you love to surf. But let's talk about the backstory. How did Dan get to Palm Coast? Where'd you grow up? And what's the history before we got here to the surfing capital of Flagler County?
First off, thank you for letting me speak today and having me here. I got here 4 years ago at Palm Coast. That's my forever home now. I'm really excited about being here and being a part of the whole growth aspect of Palm Coast. It's really exciting to be a part of it. Prior to this, I came from Winston, North Carolina. Prior to that, Philadelphia, and prior to that, San Diego, all in the same industry with the same company. And here we are 10 years later, still helping people.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a great journey from the West Coast all the way over here, San Diego to Flagler County. That probably doesn't happen all that often. The North Carolina thing, that one makes sense. The Philadelphia thing definitely makes sense. There's a lot of folks that have evacuated Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York, and all those cold weather areas for the great state of Florida. So glad to have you here. Let's learn a little bit more about Adecco and what you all do. I know really it breaks down into two areas. You support businesses with connecting them with employees, and you also support employees and trying to get them connected to employers. But the vast majority of the business, I think, is more on the business side. You're a support agency to help businesses find employees. And you said something before we went on the air about connecting talent with opportunity. Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yes, sir. So we focus on finding top talent for clients that are otherwise busy, or their internal recruitment team has come across a wall, or they can't find the candidate, or they don't have an internal team. So we become their internal recruiting team. We in the reverse, like we talked about before, we may come across people that need jobs, need help, and we are a great resource at AdeccoUSA.com. You can always go on there and check to see what resources are available in your area. It's based on zip code and vertical that you're looking for. That's a resource. And then any one of us that works for Adecco is also a resource. There shouldn't be any person that works in Adecco across the whole globe that can't help any candidate that needs some help, at least by direction.
Yeah. And again, that website is AdeccoUSA.com, and Adecco is ADECCO, AdeccoUSA.com. So let me make up a fictitious situation where maybe there's a husband and wife, and the wife gets a wonderful job here in Flagler County and relocates, and maybe the husband is looking for something since he's moving here. He can go onto Adecco USA potentially and see what opportunities you and your team might be staffing for within the geographic area. Maybe he's willing to travel 50 miles. He can go from St. Augustine to Daytona, and any opportunities that you all have, he might be able to get connected to you and your services. Is that a realistic situation potentially?
Yes, sir. It does work that way. For any person, whether you have your spouse here or not, if you need some help that way, we also help you with your resume originally, making sure that you're putting the right resume out. The resume is super important, as that's what's going to get you the interview. That's what's going to get you in the door. I always tell everyone that's a lure.
Yeah.
The great resume, you don't go fishing without a good lure. Mm-hmm. A resume is a good lure.
Yeah.
Right? Can't get to fish in the boat without a good lure. That's what we do. So we start there with making sure that the person that we're speaking with, the candidate, has a good resume and presents themselves in the best light in the vertical that they're going after.
Yeah, and I think it's especially important in today's day and age where a lot of the initial recruiting, if it weren't going through Adecco, it might be done through AI or some sort of other software package. If you don't have the right keywords on your resume, you might have the background and the experience, but you didn't tell your story with the proper terminology, and you might get passed over. Yes. And you all can help with that, obviously.
Yes. Where I believe that we help in that there's a lot of people looking for work. So when you're putting in for a job, you may be the 1,000th resume on a pile. Now, if they don't have AI or any kind of way to go through that pile, do you think a human being is going to get to you if you're 1,000, right? Before they find someone else or get tired of looking through the pile. So what we do is we assist you in getting to the front of that pile, right? If not skipping the pile and going right to the resource.
Yeah, let's just cut the line. Get to the top.
That's what we do, and that's where we step in and keep people from getting stuck. If you watch any kind of online things about job search, people are frustrated because they apply all over the place and they're not getting callbacks.
Yeah.
That's where we step in to assist them in getting those callbacks.
Let's take a step over to the other side, to the employer side, who are looking for top talent as opposed to the employee, because you clearly do both at Adecco.
Yes.
But from an employer standpoint, you do both permanent staffing and also temporary. Like if somebody needed assistance for maybe there's a peaks and valleys of a particular industry or something, and they need more people in the winter than they do in the summer, or vice versa, whatever that might be. You do both permanent and temporary staffing at Adecco, correct?
Yes, sir. We handle both of it. If you look at, I'll take a step back. Adecco is one of the top staffing firms in the world. Okay, we service every kind of vertical you can imagine, and we have every kind of job you can imagine. But a good way to look at it is if you divide it in half of it's temporary staffing, half of it's permanent recruitment. Temporary staffing would be for the companies, a lot of times in manufacturing where they have a season where the product needs to be kicked out and they hire temporarily. Mm-hmm. A lot of companies like to hire temporarily to get a feel for the candidate, and then they offer them usually 90 days later a permanent position. So it's a stepping stone to a permanent position, a foot in the door.
Right.
The permanent side is done more horse to water. I lead the horse to water kind of thing, where I'm looking for the candidate that the company is searching for and then presenting that candidate in the best light to the client. The client then takes over from there. I just kind of mediate through the process, and that's more in the client's control on the permanent side. On the temp side, we actually payroll the employees ourselves. They work for us.
Okay.
While they're a temporary employee.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't realize that. From is there? And I know you, as we've discussed, you work with every industry, every vertical.
Yes,
from manufacturing to engineering to operations and everything in between. But is there a particular industry that maybe you have a lot more placement than others, or is it really just quite literally all across the board?
I'm pretty open to everything, but engineering, construction management, a lot of jobs that are contract jobs where there's a lot of movement, people moving around. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of available intellectual talent that's floating around out there on those kind of jobs. So there's also a lot of projects like IE here in Palm Coast as we're growing.
Yeah.
There's going to be project after project after project where there may not be here in Palm Coast the civil engineers or the persons that need to be on those projects.
Yeah.
So it's our job to then bring those persons into Palm Coast.
Yeah, it was really reminded me a couple of weeks back. I can't remember exactly when it was. Maybe it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. We had Helga Van Eckert from Vidya on here, and they are getting ready to do some expansion there at Vidya. They're building a second facility, and that industry that they work in, it's I guess it's manufacturing technically when you're really trying to break it down, but it is very specific because of the nature. Their upcoming expansion is going to be in the prebiotics and the probiotics, which is fairly specific industry. So I would imagine that talent workforce that they're looking for might not be here in Palm Coast necessarily. They might need a company like Adecco, and I'm not sure if you're working with them, and I know we don't like to talk about, specific customers, but that might be a specific customer that might need you to cast that wider net because of needing a little bit more talent than might be outside our area.
Making those connections.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we're here for. We're here for every vertical.
Yeah.
Right? I know we have a lot of people that specialize in anything. I have a specialist in any vertical that you want at Adecco. Right. But in general, what we're doing is we're just trying, like a matchmaker, right? Sometimes I'm like a marriage counselor in the middle. I want to make sure I defend both sides.
Exactly right.
And each side needs to feel I'm on their side.
Yeah, because and that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because you want the employer to get a great employee and you want the employee to find a great fit culturally,
Yes.
Type of work, the pay structure, the benefits. You don't want to be constantly having to rematch somebody. You'd like to find a long-term relationship for both your employer and your employee, and so that's one of your jobs, is to kind of do some vetting and make sure it is the right fit for what they're looking for. That's what you and your teammates do at Adecco, is trying to help make those matches.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's like I said, everybody, a lot of times the elevator pitch that my people create is not so lengthy. It's really simple. We put good people with good companies with good people.
Yeah.
And that's really the goal. It's that simple. Let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
Right.
And your region, for lack of a better term, you cover the entire state of Florida. You have a team. It's not just you.
Yes, sir.
But you are the leader of the entire state of Florida, from Pensacola to Miami and Tampa to Jacksonville. You've got a team of folks that are helping assist you throughout the state of Florida. But you're running the operation for the region here, right here in Palm Coast.
Yes, sir.
It's amazing.
Yeah. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of things, and I think we stay very broad in everything, right? I don't believe in siloing. If you silo yourself in, then clients aren't getting what they need. Candidates aren't getting what they need. You're dealing with a specific person. I tend to deal with whatever comes across my plate today. So if a company in Palm Coast today, no matter what that company is, needs assistance, we're going to do our best to assist that company. It might not be that I am the best assistance. It may be that the resources that I refer them to is the best assistance. But either way, we're here to help people every day in that retrospect.
Yeah, like you said, it's connecting people with jobs and jobs with people, and ultimately that's really what it comes down to for you and your team. And again, we spoke about this off the air. Adecco, nationwide, one of the nation's largest recruiting and search firms, about at least, I think we saw more than 10,000 employees across the country.
Correct. And that it just internally, we're probably close to that, but you're not counting the people that we actually employ.
Absolutely, the people that you place.
Right. So we place the number. I don't have the number.
Yeah, because when you hire a because as you said earlier, a temporary employee is going to be on your payroll, but they're technically not an Adecco employee. They're not in that 10,000. The 10,000 people are the ones who are really, employed, W-2 employees by Adecco permanently.
Yes.
And the other folks that you might staff through, I'm sure without getting too far into the weeds of the business plan, but there's probably a staffing agency that's a subsidiary of Adecco is how those folks are hired, which would be in addition to the 10,000. So it's a very, very large and robust organization. How long have you been with Adecco yourself?
I've been with Adecco 10 years.
10 years.
Yes,
yeah.
sir. And I've worked my way up at Adecco. I started as a recruiter originally, and then I became a branch manager, and then that was on the temporary staffing side. And then after the temporary staffing side, basically during COVID, I then transferred over to the permanent placement side and took my seat there.
Yeah.
And ever since it's been where I want to be. I do get to help everybody. There is some good feeling inside to help everybody every day. Little trials and tribulations of the staffing world.
Yep.
But all in all, at the end of the day, we're helping people.
And how large is your staff now?
Excuse me?
Your team that works under you.
I have 8 persons under me now.
Yep.
I have a counterpart that's another manager that's in Miami.
Okay.
And then our recruiters all work under us. And our recruiters on our permanent recruitment team, they actually do what's a 360 desk, which means that they sell or reach out to clients to bring in business, and they recruit on that business. So they're running both sides of the fence. Where in the staffing side, the persons are just recruiting and sending people to work for companies that they've acquired. So there's a lot of the pressure in that, but it becomes more of a personal thing because you're dealing with the client and the person from the start, cradle to grave, through the hiring process, and then facilitating speed to hire, which we can get into.
Yeah, we're going to get into more of that and how the workplace has changed. You talked about some of the transitions during COVID when more remote work, not that people weren't working remotely prior to COVID, but a lot more people are working remotely today than were back then. And then also want to talk about at least one of the specific areas that you all focus on is the transition for military employees from the military lifestyle to the civilian world, and that's an area of specialization for Adecco. So we're going to take a short time out. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more in this second segment. We're visiting with Dan Rochford with Adecco, and this is the Chamber Business Report. We'll be right back.
Hiya. I took a bad fall. I was hurt.
It was horrible.
The property owner's insurance did not want to pay anything.
He came home. He was a bloody mess.
And they said it was my fault.
I told him to call Katz and Green.
Jeff Green really went to bat for me.
I'm Jeff Green.
And I'm Paul Katz. We've been Flagler County's personal injury lawyers since 1988. Our office, our only office, is in Palm Coast. Your results may differ.
Katz and Green.
Back in the old days, thieves would break into your business through a door or window. Today, hackers break into your business and home in ways you never thought of. Your printer, security cameras, scanners, thermostats, remote workers, and their devices. We're Smart Technologies. We know how to identify and secure your entire network, not just your computers. If you would like a free cybersecurity assessment, give us a call today.
Smart Technologies.
Call us 252-2292.
In a world where personal service and people who really care about you can be lost, we want you to know we are different. We love engaging with our clients. That's just how we've been since 2008. Your milestones in life and business are our milestones, and we are with you every step of the way. We can do everything that big banks do, but we add the community banking touch. If you're already one of our clients, thank you. And if not, we would love to be your locally owned community bank. I'm Laura Gilveri. Welcome to Intracoastal Bank, member FDIC.
Be local, buy local from local companies and members of the Flagler Home Builders Association.
Hi, folks. This is Bill Gallagher with SolarFit. Just a note to the wise, beware of unlicensed contractors knocking on your door. SolarFit has been installing solar systems in our community since 1975. We won't knock on your door, so give us a call at 445-7606, 445-7606.
The Flagler Home Builders Association, building a better community for you.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Chamber Business Report. I'm John Phillips. I've got Kelsey Lombard with me in studio, and Dan Rochford is our guest. Dan is with Adecco, and we've been learning a little bit more about him and about Adecco and their staffing opportunities. They are working with both employers who need employees and employees who are looking for a place to hang their hat, looking for a new job and a new market, working on both sides of the street. And we really had a good, enjoyable time talking about it in the first segment. I want to take a step back. You talked about San Diego to Winston-Salem to Palm Coast, and we touched briefly on surfing. I would have to imagine that you didn't surf much in Winston-Salem, but maybe in San Diego. Is that where the surfing bug got you, or did that happen when you came to Florida?
Yeah, actually, I was in Jacksonville originally when I grew up, so I surfed as a young man there. And then when I made my way out to California, I took it on a whole new level. California surfing is at a whole new level.
Yeah.
Right? So I did it out there, and it's something that stuck with me, and it's something that I do to this day, every day here in Flagler, right by the pier.
Even this morning.
Even this morning. Sunrise every morning. That's my one-on-one meeting with the man upstairs every morning, just to be thankful for my day, see what's given to me today. You know,
we don't want to get too far off subject because this really we're talking about business and Adecco. However, I have to ask. These last couple of weeks and months, the surf has been a little rough. Maybe that's good for you as a veteran, experienced surfer, but it's also dangerous out there with the rip currents. Has the surfing been good enough, or is it been just a little too choppy out there?
It's been both. You can see all the surfers lining up down by the pier. Everybody's excited to get out with some nice sized waves, but there have been days with the hurricanes and the different weather that have kept us all on the shore. And hope for another day.
Yeah, we've had a knock on wood, a good hurricane season inland, and maybe a exciting hurricane season with the waves because most of the time, again, knock on wood, quite literally, they've stayed offshore, and but it has caused quite the churn out there in the Atlantic Ocean, and we're still continuing to see that, and hopefully this next storm that's down there in the Caribbean right now is going to just, all the models say it's going to go and stay away from us and not bother us, but it's going to churn it up once again. So you and your teammates out there will have something to play with at sunrise.
One little thing to add there, I meet so many people out in the water that need jobs. I meet so many people. I open up conversation as I'm sitting in the water surrounded by other people.
You're networking.
I'm networking in the water.
Networking by surfing.
100% absolutely networking in the water. Most persons that come up next to me and are sitting there asking what they do, and then we get into a conversation, and usually I slot it in that I can help them if I can.
Yeah.
So it is always networking and always trying to help people.
That's awesome. I love it. And that's your servant heart. That's why you're in this job. That's why you enjoy the job so much. And we talked a little bit about it, off the air, maybe about we don't like to get into, too many personal details of people or jobs necessarily, because there are some relationships there that are protected. But there are some good stories, and you told us one, and I want to give you a chance to talk about the young lady that you got into a job placement that she obviously loves, enjoys. It's something that you also enjoy, and so she's sharing some of her successes, and you're taking great pride in seeing her happiness and her success. So let me give you a chance to talk about it.
Yes, I had a producing firm out of London that was looking for a content creator and a TV producer. I was able to find both of those persons in the U.S., and what made it exciting was this is traveling around the world, filming content, creating content. So it's a dream job, basically, for these two ladies. And I've kept up with them through the past year or two, and they're all over the place. They're at football games in Italy. They're in UFC in Germany. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of pictures from them, and it makes me feel good because that's something I would have loved to do. I would have loved to do that, travel around and do something like that.
Anyone would. That's an amazing opportunity, and the dreams that you're creating that these young people can really flourish and grow through is amazing as well. So
yeah, it's a cool opportunity, and obviously being a content creator, it's easy for her to share her success with you.
Yes.
If she was an accountant, it'd be like, hey, here's a picture of my spreadsheet. But in this case, it's content that's her job, is to create content that's shareable, and so it's great for you to be able to live vicariously through her, and that's the thing that you've done. You've created an opportunity for her through your work,
yes.
And now she's reaping the successes of it. So and there's many others that like that as well, that you and your team at Adecco have been part of. You used an expression during our last segment where you talked about go to grow. And sometimes if there's not enough opportunity locally, you might need to move to find it. Or the reverse is, if we don't have the talent pool here locally in Palm Coast or Flagler County, Adecco can help go to grow and bring someone to us. And you've had great success doing that for some of our employers here in Palm Coast and Flagler County.
Yes, sir. Also, myself, I'm a go-to-grow person. The places that I mentioned before that I've lived in the past, each time we've kind of came to the end of our time at that location, if the better opportunity was somewhere else, we pack up the caravan and we recreate ourselves in that new area.
Yeah.
And it's kind of leapfrog effect, right? We're jumping lily pad to lily pad, and then we have ended up here on our final lily pad here in Palm Coast, where we're trying to make the best of the pond, and I'm trying to really bring in all this growth. My main intention here is I see the possibilities in Palm Coast. I see where I fit in Palm Coast. I see, as being a member of the chamber, where we fit in Palm Coast, and how much of an impact we can make on all the businesses and the growth that's coming into Palm Coast.
There's been a lot of people on the caravan to Palm Coast and the entire state of Florida because of the great opportunities here, the lack of state income tax, and the other benefits that Florida has. And so the caravan, which is I-75, I-95, any other interstate highway leading into the state of Florida has been quite packed recently. So you talked about the chamber, and obviously we're thrilled to have your support as a chamber ambassador. You talked about being networking while you're surfing. You're kind of one of those guys. You're like a serial networker. You're networking everywhere you go. So being involved in the chamber is probably a natural transition for you, and it seems to be the perfect fit, and we're certainly glad to have you. I just want to give you a chance to talk about your opportunities that you've been able to create to help grow your business and grow your personal brand through being a chamber ambassador.
Yeah, well, my life is basically, like you said, it's 100% networking all the time, right? That's how you meet people. That's how you help people. That's how people help you. It's part of the business. So I've been focusing on that a lot here, and it's really worked out for me with relationships that I've got along the way. I've been able to help some people already since I've been here in the short time, and acquire some clients while I've been here, and be involved in the day-to-day operations of Palm Coast. I've sat in on several luncheons and meetings and really learned a lot that I didn't know, and really excited about the opportunity.
I think even as an ambassador, you jumped right in and did the same thing. You stepped in and you went with it, and you've taken it on as your own as well. And just the events you've come to remember that whole week where we were traveling all over. You were right there with us. So I think that definitely takes a difference in your business when you take that networking and you just run with it.
We got about 1 minute left, and I got one final question that we'd be remiss if we didn't ask. Being a military veteran myself,
Yes,
I know you all help with the Military Alliance and help veterans transition to the civilian world.
Yes,
Maybe
sir.
just talk a little bit about that during our last segment here before we wrap up.
Yeah, we have a big focus on that. We basically, all veterans that come to us that need our assistance, we help them that transition. Sometimes a transition to civilian life. It could just be a resume. You know, the lingo in a resume written by someone in the military, read by a client that's in the civilian world can be tough. So almost hieroglyphic. So we help them transition, help them fix the resume, help them adapt to the environment, put the veterans in as many companies as possible as far as just presenting them as many places, and really go above and beyond to put veterans, everybody, our whole company is involved in this. It's not a silo. Everybody is for that. So it's been a big positive for us.
Yeah, we're glad to hear that and appreciate all that you do for our veterans out there and for everyone here in Palm Coast and Flagler County and throughout the country. Adecco, again, is not a Palm Coast company. They're not a Florida company. They are a leader across the entire United States with more than 10,000 employees. Dan runs the show here for the state of Florida with a team of 8 folks, and they're doing great things in job placement. If you're an employer who needs employees, Adecco is a resource for you. If you're an employee who's looking for your next stop or a new stop or even your first stop, Dan can be a resource for you as well. Matching people to jobs and jobs to people. AdeccoUSA.com. ADECCO USA.com. So, Dan, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it is the Chamber Business Report, brought to you by Klein Construction, by Intracoastal Bank of Palm Coast, by Smart Technologies, and by Katz & Green. Thanks for being with us today. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Bye.
Thank you.